Hey, and welcome to WordPress for Small Business. My name is Tony Zioli, and I started this WordPress for Small Business series to talk to small business owners about their WordPress websites and everything that has to do with digital marketing, search engine optimization included, digital advertising, social media, integration, email newsletter marketing, everything that kind of happens around WordPress for small business, maybe some e-commerce as well. We talk about through our WordPress for small business Facebook live chats here on Tuesday mornings at 11 a.m. So once again, my name is Tony Zioli. I'm the founder of Digital Strategy Works. Digital Strategy Works provides small businesses with WordPress consulting services, from full website design to digital marketing, SEO, SEM, and social media management and marketing. We provide kind of a full suite of offerings at digitalstrategyworks.com. So today, what we're going to talk about is, of course, somebody's calling me right now, and I told them not to call me. Hold on a second. I'm going to take this phone call for 1 second. Hey, Deb, I'm just going on a Facebook Live for my, and I'll call you back. Thanks. Thank you. Bye. It was my sister calling me for my birthday. It is July 9th, and it is my 53rd birthday today. So this I had to take that call real quick. But anyway, let's get back to the issue at hand. So what we're talking about today is Google's E.A.T updates. So last August and in February and June, Google rolled out a series of updates based on E.A.T, E-A-T, expertise, authentic, authenticity and trust, right? And so what's been happening with many of the small businesses and blogs and publishers that I've been seeing online over the last couple of weeks since the June update, they've been really upset about their traffic being cut in half to their websites. And they've noticed this huge noticeable decrease in incoming traffic to their sites. And this has impacted some companies even have to go out of business because they based all or almost all of their revenue on digital advertising on their websites. And once their advertising was cut in half, that impacted their budget and impacted their ability to pay contributing writers to their websites. So let's talk a little bit about E and what each letter in the E.A.T, sorry, you gotta get focused here. Get on the seat, which is a little difficult this morning. E.A.T. So let's talk about expertise, right? So what Google is trying to do right now is filter out the wheat from the chaff, right? And that means they want to and have always, the end goal of Google is always to deliver the most incredible, the best, the most authoritative, the most trustworthy content that they can find on the internet. And throughout the last maybe 8 years or so, we've seen an explosion in clickbait sites, right? People that use titles that say, whale swallows man, and then this happened, ... right? Or baby grows beard, and then this happens, ... Or, woman gets married to gorilla, and then all heck breaks loose. Learn more, ... right? So that's clickbait, right? It tries to drive this person into a article or post about some thing that potentially actually happened, but the way that it's written almost like, in second grade, easy to understand, very hype oriented text where it tries to drive the reader into a post based on this clickbait. And then the post itself, the actual copy, doesn't really consist of much. It's not written by any authoritative journalist. It's not delivered by some publication that is highly respected in the form of delivering this information, like the New York Times or the Los Angeles Times or the Washington Post, or even the National Enquirer, right? Like, but those are the sites, National Enquirers of the world, right, that have kind of driven Google a little crazy and, provided fodder for people to criticize search by saying these aren't the type of articles we want to find when we are looking for solutions to our problems, answers to our questions, or some kind of interest to action thing that will help us resolve or achieve a goal, right? That's Google's ultimate end game, right? Is to give you, the user, the most authoritative, the most trustworthy post, driven around expert opinion or expert knowledge, and they're looking for that out there in the online world through all the internet websites, the billions of internet websites, if not trillions, that they crawl, right? They want to deliver the most compelling answer to a question to the reader, right? And so what we have is all these clickbait sites out there. It's really trying to use that strategy to drive people in and then hook them on a fish hook and get them to see some type of advertising. So have you ever seen, when you go to a website, have you ever clicked on one of these clickbait articles, and all of a sudden you see a gallery of images, and you have to keep on clicking through the images one after another to see every part of the story or to follow along the line? What that is really doing, instead of giving you the full article, what that website is trying to do is trying to navigate you through a series of links so you can get eyeballs on each ad, and so that they can make more money. And Google is hip to this, and it's hip to all kinds of other strategies that small web blogs or web publishers use to try to influence the search ranking algorithm to get people to come to their sites. And Google's finally, at this point, intelligent enough with artificial intelligence and their bots and what they do and their programming to filter through these sites and find out really what is, get to the bottom of who these sites are, what they're publishing. Is this content high quality? Does it really solve a problem? Are readers really going to benefit from this information, right? I saw a post out there on some of the boards that I'm following for support for SEO, and one organization was complaining that they're kind of a cryptocurrency advisory blog or website, and they've been publishing for a few years, and now their traffic's been cut in half, right? We have a lot of crypto blogs out there, right? A lot of people speaking about cryptocurrency and experts in the field and these kinds of things. But this site sits out on the fringe and just throws out post after post after post, kind of summarizing, what had happened, but not really coming at it from a journalistic perspective. They didn't interview anyone. They didn't quote anyone. They didn't refer anyone. They weren't referred to anyone about the story. So they went out and just created this kind of bland, sort of relevant post that you could read and extrapolate some information from, but who is it written by? Are these people experts in their field, or are they just hired guns that will write about anything, right? That doesn't really make a difference once they write about it, and once they deliver it, did you really learn something? Did it really solve your problem? So Google's hip to this now, right? And in their last 3 updates in August last year, I think January and June, they've really been trying to narrow down what it means to be an influential resource. And that is why traffic is getting cut in half for many of these small business blogs and small publishers and people that are trying to run, blog networks and trying to subsist on advertising and throwing clickbait out there. Google's finally saying enough. You're not delivering enough value to the reader for us to rank your content higher in search. You have to get better at what you do, right? Now, some could say, is that fair? Should Google make that determination? Should Google make that determination on the behalf of its users and say, let's filter out all this clickbait content. Let's stop returning all this kind of half-baked information, to the reader. And the answer in some people's minds is no, because why should Google be the arbiter or the censor of content? But in some people's minds, the answer is yes, because if you're a business like Google, your business is predicated on finding the best information out there for the reader to consume, for the user to consume. And if you're not finding the best and most high quality information, maybe another search engine is, or has found a way to do so. So there's a competitiveness, and it's a business, and in the business model, it's not a public, even though it's a public company, it's not like a public utility. It's not like a governmental organization that has to adhere to some, broad rules and restrictions, right? It is a private company that's on the public market, on the public stock market, that has to generate a profit and return on their investment. And their users are saying, maybe a preponderance of users are saying, we are getting tired of this clickbait. You need to do something about this because it is not actually effectively delivering value to your users. And we'd love it if you took some action to mitigate against that. So that's what Google has done. It has set up some type of algorithm through artificial intelligence to read through the content of these blogs and small websites and publishers and whatnot, and to say, are you delivering expertise, authority, and trust? Right. So let's go back to E, expertise. Are you an expert in the field? Right. What kind of expertise do you have? So in my line of work, I'm a digital strategist. When I published the Digital Strategy Works, I have probably since 2009 for Digital Strategy Works, and 10 years prior to that, a large social footprint. I also have a lot of content that I've published around the social web, whether it's on WordPress.org, whether it's in Facebook, whether it's in Twitter, whether it's in LinkedIn, whether it's on my own blogs. My name is out there. Google can find me and find the information that I've posted, and can probably extrapolate that I'm an expert in digital strategy, right? And so once they extrapolate that, then they can say, okay, well, wherever Tony's publishing his post now, we can find his name, find his profile across the social web, and find out where, what he's linking to and what he's linking from, and build a story around Tony Zioli and consider him an expert in the field because he's self-published, he's not publishing clickbait, he's providing tutorials, he's providing knowledge, he's providing extensive look at certain subjects, and not just, saying, hey, come and read this post for 2 minutes and then you're off onto something else, right? Tony Zioli is trying to teach something through his expertise, right? And so that is the E in E.A.T. That's the expertise. So when you are working on your site, I've had some clients say to me, I don't want to publish my name or the name of my employees or their bios on the blog. I just want it to be a generic blog coming from my organization. Well, that's not really going to elicit a good ranking in expertise. You can't deny people who are contributing to your site their just recognition, right? They are taking their time and effort to contribute. They have some expertise to contribute. And if they're not being cited as the author of the post, and they don't have a byline and they don't have their bio in the post, then how do they expect to build an expertise level profile on the social web, right? And through Google search? They can't. Right. So if you are a small business owner and you're saying, on your blog, well, I just want it to be the company blog and there's no author and there's no expert, well, you're going to see a ranking hit because you're the company, you're not the expert, right? The expert is the individual. So we want to see individuals with, a master's degree, a PhD, a bachelor of science in this, that, someone who has some expertise in their field of view publishing on your blog. And if you hire those writers or you have those people internally, you want to give them credit where credit's due, so it can show Google and your readers that the value proposition you're providing through your blogging efforts is coming from experts that you cultivate, right? So when we get to expertise, let's think about passing on that ability, passing on that value to the author of these posts, who wouldn't normally contribute if they didn't get that anyway, right? Like, why should I contribute a post? Okay, so I'm getting paid by a company. Sure, you're telling me to contribute, but in this day and age, the employee is the expert. The employee creates the value. So let's see that. As a small business, you have to open your mind, open your heart up to the idea that your employees are ultimately valuable in more than just one way, right? So that's the expertise part of it, right? Let's talk about the A in Google's E.A.T, right? That's the authenticity, authentic, right? Is this content authentic, right? Where is it coming from? Who is writing it, right? That gets into trust, that gets into the T, but we'll get to that, right? But authenticity means, as long as the blogger, the writer, the author of the published piece has been doing what they do, they're building up a social profile around the social web and through search that shows that they are an expert in the field. So there's your expertise, but it's coming from an authentic person, not just coming from some pseudonym that you say, oh, Joe Smith wrote this. Who's Joe Smith? What did Joe Smith do? Right? We want authenticity. Google wants to make sure that the expert that's writing the post is the authentic expert, and that the content in the post is authentic content. It's not copied from somewhere else. It's not rewritten in a way that you kind of are highlighting somebody else's post. Yes, we all rewrite things, but you have to come at it from a different angle, from maybe a better place of expertise, right? Maybe something other people forgot that to put in their post, right? You have to have the most expertise and the most authentic post or page on that subject matter, right? You can't just mail it in, right, anymore. Google's getting smart, right? They're starting to see that there's no expert publishing this. This isn't authentic. This isn't coming from an expert voice. So why should we rank it higher, right? We shouldn't. We should just let it go and let somebody else who is making that effort rise to the top, right? So that's authenticity. We want authentic content coming from experts in the field, right? Now we talk about trust, right? That's the T in E.A.T. Is this resource a trustworthy resource? So they look back at the longevity that you've been around, the traffic that has come to your site, maybe the outbound traffic that has gone from where you've linked people off of. Even though you might have a no follow, there's still some level of, if you are advising your users to go from A to B, right, there's some level of trust. Did I point someone to a specific resource that was really another EAT post, right? If it's another EAT post, then if I'm linking from my post to that post, that is trust, right? I'm sharing out my trust. I value another EAT post over another clickbait post. I'm not just going to link to something else, or I'm not just going to not link to anything, right? If I'm writing content and I'm an expert and I have authenticity, then I want to build trust. And in that trust, I am showing my reader that I am the expert and I am authentic and that I am building trust. And how am I building trust? By blogging frequently, by blogging from my name, by having my bio in all my posts, by linking to my social media profiles, by seeding my social media profiles with those posts, right? Google's looking at all of this now. Now, we don't know this for a fact, right? We don't know what is in a Google algorithm. There are over 200 search engine ranking signals that Google provides. It's said by some experts, over 200. So we don't know everything. But what we do know is when they publish on the Webmaster Tools blog this EAT update and they're telling us that this is what they value now. Now, as a small business, we must pivot. But here's the thing. If you weren't doing this before EAT, then you were doing it wrong. And you were following the crowd, right? The crowd saying, let's do clickbait. Let's do black hat SEO. Let's do anything and everything we can get eyeballs to our site, right? But Google's saying, no, 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 no. That's not going to work anymore, right? We want expertise, authenticity, and we want to trust you, right? So building that trust with your reader, how many people are coming back to your site is building trust. So, is your bounce rate lower because you built EAT into your content publishing mechanism? Are your referrers higher because you built EAT in and people linking back to you, right? Are your outbound when people jump off your site, where they're going, are they going to another site or are they going to somewhere you told them to go, right? That is building trust, right? EAT, EAT. Happened in August, happened in January, and just recently happened. I just checked when I started seeing some complaints in early June from publishers about this EAT update and how it was having their traffic to 50% or more. Some to 75%, and they're complaining. There's no way that Google is going to impact your site that much unless you really undervalued expertise, authenticity, and trust from the get-go, right? If you went out there as a small business and you just started publishing anything and anything to get eyeballs and clickbait, now you're suffering from those decisions, right? You should have done it right. And, this is very honest and very direct. And that's how I am. I'm Italian American from the Northeast. We are direct. And that strategy was not a sound strategy, right? We need to do things right from the beginning. So now what are you going to do when you have 400, 600, 800, 1,000 posts? You're going to have to go back through all of your posts. You're going to have to maybe reassign those posts to a more qualified writer, right, with a larger social footprint. You may want to enhance all those posts with additional content, update them with real content. And when I saw, let me just get back to my client. When I just looked into his Google Analytics yesterday, and I saw that 50% slice in half, right? They did nothing to change anything that they did over the last 6 months since we did their Drupal to WordPress migration. Their WordPress site is well SEO'd. They were starting to get up into the 15,000s per day again, from when the first EAT update happened. And now they're back down to half. Now they're seeing 5,000 to 8,000 page views a day. And why is that? Because their posts are shallow. They are I don't want to out them, but they work in the publishing space, in the book space, right? And what happened is, they're just trying to kind of do this surface stuff. And they have interns coming in and out of their organization publishing for them who haven't really built a well or credible social profile. So of course, when you rely on interns who have no credibility in the industry to speak of yet, and I know they have to do things to build their profile, and that's wonderful, right? But maybe they should be out there blogging on their own. But as a professional organization, you need to be hiring experts, not interns, right? You need to be doing the deep level journalism or the deep level crafting authoritative posts with expertise and trust, right, built in. Those are the things that you need to do. So E.A.T, right? This is why your traffic's being cut in half. This is why you're running to SEO plugins and saying, my traffic's being cut in half. It must be your plugin. No, it is not Yoast. It is not all-in-one SEO. It is not any of the other SEO plugins out there. What it is your content marketing strategy was not the correct strategy from the outset, and now you're being penalized for it. So you have to, unfortunately, make that admission, step back, and see what you can do to make improvements to those posts and pages to really fill them out, so they're not shallow, so they're deep, so they have people on them, authors, contributors on them who have well-built social profiles, who are experts. They have master's degrees, they have PhDs, they've been in business for 10 years, they've run a company, they've been a director of product development, they've been a director of marketing, they've been a VP of marketing. Those are the kind of experts and that people want to hear from. They don't want to just hear from some intern who's publishing a glossed overview of some piece of subject or some subject matter that you just decided to throw out there one day, right? It's really about coalescing around a stronger editorial strategy. So I really advise on that. Now, if you need help with understanding this and seeing and analyzing and auditing where your train went off the rails here, be sure to get in touch with me, az@digitalstrategyworks.com, or get in touch with me right here on, WP Small Biz. We are starting a blog, and this is going to be a great blog post for one of our first posts. It'll be wpsmall.biz out there on the web. You can go there now. There's no content there, but there will be shortly. And all these videos will be posted there for ingestion, in the search ranking world, right, that we're going to publish over the next few weeks. But get in touch with me. Let me do a site audit, and I'll come back and we'll talk to you about all the things, we'll advise you on all the things that you need to do to improve your content marketing, to improve your search engine optimization, to improve your page speed optimization, and, and we'll go from there. So that's what you can do. az@digitalstrategyworks.com. Visit our website, digitalstrategyworks.com. Get in touch with me through the site or right here on Facebook, and I'll be happy to do a site audit and walk you through what some of the things that you need to do to change to marry what you do with the E.A.T philosophy that Google's rolling out. Now, the interesting thing about E.A.T is Google can't really tell you what to do. I've been reading some posts from Search Engine Journal, SEJ Search Engine Journal, which you should definitely look out for. And they've been talking about, well, what do you do to fix it? And there's no one thing. Google can't say to you, go to your website and regenerate your XML sitemap and resubmit it to Google, and that'll all of a sudden, voila, make some new thing happen. No, that's not going to happen, right? This is a long-term effort that you have to do the auditing first. You have to understand where you went off the rails, and then you have to apply a logical solution and spend against that to start building your value in search again, right? And bringing your traffic back up, because you want to be the expert in the room. You want to be the most authoritative source, and you want to be the most trustworthy source. If you're not following E.A.T, and you just want to throw things out there, well, you're going to see your search engine traffic hit by 50% or more, right? And then what's going to happen after that is you're going to have to start spending more money in Google AdWords, or you're going to have to start spending more money in Facebook ads, or Twitter ads, or LinkedIn's network advertising, right? To get people to see your post. And you don't want to do that, right? You want to be the expert in the room. You want to have authority, and you want to have trust. And so it's time that you, as a small business owner, step back and said, I need to do this right. If I'm not doing this right, then maybe you just shouldn't do it at all. Some blogs have gone out of business because they decided they wanted to be shallow. And one other thing about this is this advertising. When you start seeing sites with 10 or advertisements all over the place, advertising popping up, things popping up in the mobile browser, asking you to do something first, right before you even see any content, Google's going to flag you and say, this isn't a great user experience. You're just trying to ram advertising down people's throats, and you're trying to grab their email address before you're even showing them anything of value, right? So why should we value you? Why should we give you, a higher search ranking than we do? Because you're not respecting the user. The user's going to see your ads if they go to your site. And if your site's good, the user's going to come back, and you're going to do much better, because you're going to get much more return traffic, you're building much more trust with your user. So they're going to see your ads. You don't have to force advertising down someone's throat, right? You don't have to force these pop-ups to pop up before the user sees any content. Maybe you have pop-up on a delay. Maybe you have a pop-up that comes down from the right corner of the screen. Maybe you have a pop-up that comes from the bottom of the screen, right? That only covers a quarter of the page in mobile, right? Those are the places that you want to head as a small business. You don't want to pop up completely over the screen right away, asking either for their email address before they even see anything, right? Non-starter for your user, increases your bounce rate, decreases your search rank, all of those things combined. So let's get it right. Let's work together. You can get in touch with me, once again, az@digitalstrategyworks.com, or you can visit the digitalstrategyworks.com website. Send us a message through our contact form, and I'd love to talk to you and work together on a site audit, and we'll look at what it is that you're doing in both mobile, desktop, and tablet that can be a potential turnoff to Google, and it's why your search results are being cut in half today, or your traffic's being cut in half, because your search ranking signal has now been impacted by the algorithm. One final thing, I still see a lot of sites out there that are not SSL compliant. That's another thing in building trust, right? Is going out and making sure that your site is SSL compliant. There are a myriad of ways to do that for free. It's easy to do nowadays. It used to be a little bit harder, but now it should come through your host, or if you're working with Cloudflare, Cloudflare does it for free automatically, or there's a service called Let's Encrypt. There's plugins for WordPress. There are all kinds of ways to get SSL, so we want to do that as well, right? And we want to have a privacy policy and the terms and conditions. Google's going to look for that. If you don't have a privacy policy or terms and conditions, that's part of your trust, right? If you're not saying to your users, this is how you interact with us, this is our legalese, this is what's behind this platform, then why should Google value you, right? A lot of advertising networks used to ask for those things, and Google even asked for those. Where are your terms of service before we allow you to host our ads, right? You have to have terms of service. You have to have a privacy policy, especially with the new EU regulations, right? The GDPR, right? That builds trust. If you are GDPR compliant, that's going to build trust too. So there's another component, right? Page speed optimization, SSL, content, all those things go into building expertise, authenticity, and trust. And that really is the synopsis of what we're talking about here. The summary is to build in trust, authenticity, and expertise into your platform, and give your users what they're looking for answer those questions, create that value, and you should be on your way to success. So once again, just drop me a note here if you want to ask a question right here in the Facebook group. By all means, do so, and we will.
Happy birthday to Tony. It's his birthday today.
It's my birthday today. Thanks, baby love. That's my lovely wife. So we are going off. We'll see you next week, and thanks for tuning in. It's been lovely, and we'll have a new subject to talk about next Tuesday at 11. Have a great day.